Hello friends, good morning. Welcome to the Lighting Vectorworks 3D plot. I think we're at video 5 and today is going to be focus point tools and turning lights on. So let's just jump right into it, and here we go. Alright, so when we last left our drawing, we had inserted these 3 different lights down on the second catwalk. And if I click on the fixture, I select it, I see all this information here. We got our symbols from here. And what we want to do is be able to turn this light on. And before we turn the light on, we actually need to determine where it's going to be focused, right? And the way that we're able to do that is to go over here to our lighting tool palette, right? And so within this palette, our very first option is going to be the lighting symbol tool. The lighting symbol tool is what is used to insert a fixture into the drawing. By double clicking in the resource browser on the fixture, it will automatically select that option. You may have even gotten a little notice that said, hey, this is going to do this automatically. Do you want to do this? And you said yes, right? But that's an automatic selection when you click on a lighting symbol. The next is how we create lighting positions, and we'll get to that in another video. Right now I've given you the lighting positions, right? And the third option over here is the one we're after, and it's called the focus tool. And if you just hover over the tool, it'll give you this little reminder about what it is. And so let's click on that focus tool. Now we have our little crosshair that determines where we want our focus point to go, and I think I'm just going to put it right at downstage center. I'm just going to put it right smack there, and it asks now for a name and a focus height, right? And so what I'm going to do is provide this with the name, and I'm just going to call it instead of that, I'm going to call it downstage center. Now, you may get a variety of options there. It defaults to whatever you put in last, and I've been playing with the program, so it had some garbage in it, so I just put in downstage center, right? The next little checkbox here is focus height, and in focus height, we're able to determine how high off the floor is that focus area going to be, and that's a very useful tool when we start thinking about performers moving around the space. They are not at the floor level, and we actually want to think about them more at face level, right? You act with your face, and so we want to be able to make sure that their entire body is included, and so evaluating the lighting at the focus height, at a focus height of 5 feet or 4'6" or 6 foot. It depends on how tall your performers are. You might be doing all children's theater with a children's cast, and your height is 3 feet. So it really just sort of depends. 5 feet is a nice general place. It's going to get most people, right? You're going to get those that are vertically challenged, and you'll get those that are vertically accented. So let's just go ahead and say, okay, choose another name. All right, well, I've already used that one, so I'll have to call it downstage center 1. How about that? Right, now, here we go. We've inserted this focus point, right? We've inserted this focus point now onto the stage, and we're going to want to remember that name. Let's go to our pointer tool, and let's come back, and let's select this fixture. Now, once we select this fixture, we need to tell the fixture that we want to point it to that focus point, right? So if we were to scroll down, go to your object info browser, and you're going to want to keep scrolling down. Here's all this information about what the fixture is, all these other values that we'll learn how to plug in once we get to actually doing the plot. Here's the beam angle and field angle and all the information that's been provided about that symbol right here, the one symbol that we have created. Now, the first thing that I would like to do is, why don't we go ahead and let's click draw the beam, and it's not letting me do that because of my view. Alright, that's okay. Oh, I haven't given it a focus point, and here's the focus that we want to be able to assign. Here's where we're able to assign the focus point. So I think I had called that downstage center 1. Yeah, downstage center 1. And we'll just go ahead and enter that, and I click enter. And if I go back up, I scroll back up a little bit. Now I have this draw 3D beam, or draw beam, and I'm going to select that, and look, lo and behold what it's done. It has given me the beam angle and the field angle for this fixture. We've now calculated how big this image is going to be as it falls on at the fall off point. Now we can also select some other. By default, it's going to be at its focus point, which is how big it is in the air. And I'll show you what I mean by these two. Let's do a little fly around, and let's look at our beam that we've drawn in 3D. And if you'll notice, our beam is actually stopping above the floor at our focus point. What we're going to want to do, or what we can do, is we can change this to where the beam is at its fall off point, which is, what is the light going to stop at? What's the next solid that it will hit, right? And the next solid that it hits is actually the floor. So this shows us if our beam of light continued past our focus point and continued onto the floor. We can also though go in and look at our focus and fall off point, which shows us where it is at its focus point height, which was 5 feet, and additionally then where it strikes the floor. Let's just turn this back to where it looks at the floor. Hey, this is doing really pretty good. This is neat. This is doing all of that photometrics math for me, and I can just kind of look and see where things are. Now, what if I determine that the placement of that focus point is actually not that great for me, and I would like to move it? I can click on the little disc that is that focus point, right? And I can move it wherever I want. If I wanted to move it further downstage, I can. I can click on it and I can slide it along the axis. Let me find that axis again, right? That's on the y-axis. I can move it directly upstage. We can move it diagonally. We can move it to wherever we want to move it, right? And so let's kind of put it back near the center, right? And so there we have it, right? So we're able to move it around. Now, let's take a little look at the idea of being able to turn this fixture on. And the first thing I need to do is to go ahead and render this. Let's go ahead and render to our OpenGL. You'll see our lines, and if we hover over, right, we'll see that we're selecting the focus lines for this. And now let's select our fixture. We have all of that information over in our object info browser, but this time, to be able to turn it on and actually see what it's doing, why don't we do a right click? In our right click, we get a pull down menu next to the fixture that gives us all sorts of information, right? We get cut, copy, paste, send, rotate, lock, unlock, right? Edit. We move through all these things, right? But what we're really after is this option down here at the bottom. It says turn on, right? And so what I'll do is click on turn on, and look, I can now see where that light is actually striking the stage. We could even go back over to our fixture, and just for giggles, let's turn our beam off, and we'll be able to see even more clearly, right? So now I'm able to actually see where this light is hitting the floor, and I can select my focus, not my tree, right? Let's grab the symbol, right? Let's pull it down stage a little bit. And if you look closely over here, you can see along the green center line that I am pulling this down parallel to the center line. And if I click here and move across, you can see that I'm moving across the x-axis. So I've pulled over a little more towards center. Maybe we want to come down stage a little bit more, maybe even a little more. There we go. Why don't we go with something that looks about like that? Now I'm just in OpenGL render mode, right? And I can fly around and I can look at this and I can see what's going on. Why don't I select my fixture again? Let's go to select this, and we want to scroll way down, and we're going to draw our beam again. And look, I can see what that light is now doing as it strikes the stage. I'm hoping that I can. Oh, it looks to be a bit of a see-through. 15 minutes, certainly. How about we do at focus point? Oh, for some reason I have lowered my focus point all the way to the floor. I think I did that when I was playing around with it before, but it's okay, right? So now I'm looking at the beams of light and I'm looking at where it strikes the floor, and this is all looking pretty good, right? Let me look at that focus point. And where are you? How about top plan view? That's all right. I'm just going to leave it for now, right? So we've turned this light on and we've seen what it's doing. Now, to turn it off, you do the exact same thing. Let's select the light. Let's go to this pull-down menu, and we can turn the light off, right? Turn off. Oh, I don't know. Yep, and so our light indeed went off, but our beams did not go off. So let's go over here and let's select our beam, which is selecting the fixture, and we can scroll all the way down, and we're going to turn the beam off. And so now we're back to where it is. Right? So real quick, let's go back to our top plan view. Yeah, here we are. And I wonder what that elevation is. Rotation, Z, 5 feet. I'm just doing some housekeeping. And let's go and let's put in another focus point. So if I click my focus tool, and let's say that I want to put it right here on the plaster line, but off to this side. And let's call this one down left center one, and say okay. And how about we come over here and let's put in another one, and we'll call that one down right center one, and 5 feet is fine, and we'll say okay. Now I'm going to go out to our other two fixtures so that we can aim them at the stage. Let's do a little fly around, right? And let's look, right? Yep. And we'll select this fixture, and let's scroll way down deep. Focus, we're going to give it a focus of down left center 1, and say okay. And this one over here was going to focus to down right center 1. By default there won't be anything there, but I had already played with this drawing. You're going to want to make sure you remember the name of that focus point. You're going to want to remember that name because you actually have to type in that exact name into the fixture in order to be able to get it to focus, right? So let's do a little rendering, and we'll do an OpenGL. And I've already selected that fixture, so let's right click and let's say turn on. I can select this fixture and I can say turn on, and I can select the middle fixture and we can turn it on. And so I can start to see where my fixtures are focused. Now again, that middle one I sort of messed up a little bit, and so let's go ahead and pull it down stage some, so that it lines up. We may even want to pull it a little more downstage. How about this one? We'll pull this one downstage a little. And even this one, and we'll pull that focus point down a little bit. Right, so we've done a little focus. Oh, my overlap doesn't look good. The designer in me is getting uppity. Right, so I'm going to come over, and that helped our overlap a little bit. Right, so our focus is looking pretty good, and I tell you what, I think we're going to stop at this video right now. To turn these fixtures back off, we need to select them, right? We can select them individually, or I believe we can select them together. Let's try that. I select this one, and let's right click, and let's say turn off. Yep, and now let's select our last fixture over here. We right click, and I'll say turn off, and we've now turned them off. And I'll go ahead and stop this video at this point, and I will see you all in a little bit. Thanks so much.